Welcome back everyone to Angela's Craft Room. Today I'm just going to show you a card that I've made using the Botanical Builder Framelits. Now in this you get an awful lot of flower and leaf framelits, and it's a really great set that you can really make your own flowers and build them into a 3D image. And also you can also get the corresponding stamp set Botanical Blooms, which it has 17 stamps, 17 images in it. So it's quite a good stamp set. So you can stamp your image and then die cut it out. But what I've done in this for this card is I've just used the Thinlits. So I'll just get started and I'll show you what I've done, and at the end I'll show you a different card that I've made with a lot more flowers on it. So the colours we're using today are Basic Black, Bermuda Bay and Smoky Slate. Now my base card is going to be the Basic Black, and that measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 and scored at 4 1/8, and then we're just going to fold that there. Now with your insert, because I'm going to be stamping a background before we put the flower down using the Timeless Textures stamp set, we're going to stamp a little bit on your inside card first, just to make it look a bit more interesting. So from the Timeless Textures stamp set today, I'm going to be using this stamp here, this circle one and the little dot ones. So I might just grab this one first, and just using, because we only want it to be light inside the card, we don't want inside the card to be taking over from the outside. So I'm just going to stamp that up very lightly, and it's got quite a bit of ink on it, so I'm going to stamp off and stamp it just on the inside of my card, like so. And I'll just do the same at the bottom. So this stamp set, Timeless Textures, it's just a really good background stamp that you can use. So I'm just going to make a little border going around there, just stamping off So I'm just putting it, I'm re-inking each time, but then I'm stamping off. I just want to put a bit more over there. I'm just not happy that that's not enough coverage on the outside. And I'm just cleaning my stamp off camera with my stamping scrub. And then what I think I'll do is I'll just bring in some Bermuda Bay, and I'm just going to put, using the little dot image, I'm just going to stamp off again, because remember this is the inside of your card and Bermuda Bay is quite a bright colour. So I like to start in the corners first, and I'm just going to do go in. Now I'm not re-stamping, I'm just using what's on the stamp, what's on the image. just to add a bit of interest to the inside of your card. And you can see we've left a big space in the middle for the person to write on. And this mightn't be your style to do a background like this, and that's fine. We're all different, so you just do what you like. I'm just trying to give a few ideals. So we'll just go ahead and put that one straight into the card. And you can see that I've got a bit of ink on the back of that, but that's all right because no one's going to see that, only you've seen that. So we're just going to put that on the inside of the card. Now, I do like to line it up with my grid paper. Sometimes it's a bit of a challenge. Then I close it and I just give it a bit of a rub, and then I'm not going to get ink on my fingers, and which is going to transfer onto my card. So then you've got just a little bit of an interest in the inside of your card. So just burnish that card. Then I'm going to pop that one on there. Like so. I'll just, for measurements, the Bermuda Bay is 4 inches by 5 1/4. Okay, so 4 inches by 5 1/4 for your top panel. Then it's opening like that. So opening up my card again, making sure I'm putting it on the right side, and just line it up on my grid paper. And then I do love this Bermuda Bay in black, it's just quite striking. And if you do have the grid paper and you line it up, it saves a lot of disheartening so you're not doing it crookedly. So I find that a really bit of a tip for you there. So we've got the black on the Bermuda Bay, and then we're going to have our smoky slate is going to go on top of there. So to do that, your smoky slate measures, what does it measure? About 3 3/4 by 5 1/4, okay? Or 3 7/8 by 5 1/4, I should say. So now we're going to make the background on this card. So first off, I'm going to use this stamp from the Timeless Textures, and I'm going to use my smoky slate ink pad, and I'm going to stamp it full strength first. So I'm just going to go about halfway and straight up, and then ink it up again. And then I'm just going to stamp to the right a little bit, a bit off center, like so, and then just up the top at full strength. And I'm just going to stamp off the cardstock a little bit. Like that. So that's our first part. Then I'm going to just stamp it up, stamp off and I think I'll just pop one in there so you can see it's a bit lighter. And stamping off, I'm just going to put another one, and I am still stamping off my cardstock a little bit just to give it sort of, I don't know, a bit of a design there just to start our background. So we've done that. Then I'm going to take grab my acrylic block for this one. So it's like a little swirl, really, just a little swirl. So I'm just going to stamp that up again in the smoky slate, and I'm just going to pop one there, and I've got to think I'll need to put my sentiment down in there, so I'll go one up there. And see, some of this too, when you're doing a background, you really don't know how your card's going to finish, because a lot of your background's going to be covered. So, and I think I'll just pop one there, like that. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my basic black, and I think I'll just put my sentiment in there straight away. Now you can put any sentiment that you want. I've chosen one from Artistically Asian. So I'm just going to stamp that up in basic black. I just think basic black, it makes my image a lot more vibrant. So you can pop that anywhere you like. I'm just going to put it a little bit from the bottom. Hopefully it's going to be straight. Wonderful. Okay, so I might even just go back into my smoky slate again with the bigger image and just stamp it off, and I just think it needs, just underneath that sentiment, just a little bit of character. Yeah, that's better. I like that. And you could even put a piece up there, just depends how much you want to put on. Now I'm just going to grab the little dot one. So that's the little dots. And I'm going to go back into my smoky slate, make sure I'm tapping into the right thing. Now you just put them randomly, really. It's just up to you. Now I'm going full strength. It's just up to you where you want to put them, because I am going to bring in some Bermuda Bay as well with these dots. So it's just a random, because we're just making a background. And then I'm just stamping off the ink that's left on there, like that. Okay, so I'll clean my stamp. Then I will just bring in my Bermuda Bay, and I just want a few dots in the Bermuda Bay colour. So and I'm not really even thinking where I'm putting them, because this is a background. So you're just making your own designer series paper on cardstock, really. And as I say, a lot of this is going to be covered. So I'm not re-inking. This is just ink that's left on the stamp. So I'll just clean that off. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I'll just close the ink pad so that we don't have ink all over the card. So that was just using the Smoky Slate and the Bermuda Bay and the sentiment in basic black. So that's my background that I've made. So then before I came on camera, I'll just okay, just wasn't sure where I put those after showing you. So out of all these sentiments, I've cut out a flower in that one, and I won't use all these. I've cut out that one, and I've cut out some leaves in that one and that one. And I did cut out some of these really tiny ones, which I'm not sure that we'll use, but just so you can see how I've put the card together. Okay. So then you really need to decide. What I might do is I might actually put that, now we've done the background, I'll adhere that to the card. And then we can just add the flowers, or the flower. It's only really one flower that I'm adding, but sometimes it just takes a little bit of fiddling. So I'm just going to eyeball that, hopefully get it. So I'll just turn that over and pressure that down. So that's what we've got so far. So it's coming together quite nicely. Now I cut out a Bermuda Bay flower out of that big one, and see how you can push the petals up once you've cut it out with your big shot. And then I'm going to bring in that little white flower that I made, and we'll do that right now. Now I use the multi-purpose glue for putting my flowers together, and you don't need very lot, so I do find it handy to have a cotton bud nearby, so if I have put a little bit too much on. And then I'm just going to, and it does allow you, the multi-purpose liquid glue does allow you to move your flower that little bit. So then what I did, I actually took a button from the Classy Designer series buttons and some of the linen thread from Stamping Up. And what I did, just to save time before I come on camera, was I threaded it through the button. So I started at the front, threaded it through, and then brought it back through the back to the front and tied a knot. And then what I normally do is, so that the obviously I've got too much thread, but we can cut that off. So what I normally would do, using my bone folder, I just do a bit of a curl. Okay. And then I'm going to be adhering that onto there like that. So I do that just with the dimensional. So just pop a dimensional on the back of the button. And that's just going to go. We haven't put the flower down yet because I have to work out where I want my leaves. So that's made a really lovely 3D button. I'll just snip a little bit of the linen thread off while we're working with it. So we can, so then I thought I'd bring in some white leaves, and we've only used a couple of colours, and I just think it looks quite effective with a couple of colours. Then I do have this leaf which can go, and then you can bring that down just depending where your sentiment is. Just got to figure out where you want everything to be. So that looks pretty good. You could bring in some of these little flowers if you wanted to. Just cut them in Bermuda Bay. And another little flower out of the same set. And then another one on this side. So it's like a triangle. So we've got the centered flower, and then you look at it like a triangle point. So to help you placing. Okay, so without me trying to move too much because I'll forget where I've put everything. So now I'm just going to add some multi-purpose liquid glue. Now, as you can see, you only need to put a real little bit round those edges. You need a little bit more in the center, but the good thing about the multi-purpose glue is it's just going to give you that little bit of extra time if you do need to move your flower. Now I feel I've put a little bit too much there, so I'll just take that off with my cotton bud. My best friend, my cotton buds. Now I want that to be about there, so I'm going to move the leaves just to side at the moment. Put that one, you can see it sliding a little bit. That's good because it just gives you that much time. Then I just use the bone folder just so the glue catches to the cardstock. Just lifting up those ones that are lovely die cut. It's just a beautiful set to have for making your own flowers. I can see that I'm going to have to cut some of that off. You could tie that in a bow even if you wanted to. I'll just grab my scissors because it's annoying me. We might even end up cutting it in a bow. Anyway, we want to pop this one. Now you could place your leaves in first if you like. Now, to see where I want this one. So that one's quite easy. I'm just going to pop that in there. So on the back, once again with your multi-purpose glue, and you just need a little bit on these leaves because they're so tiny. Let's try and hold it. So I'm just going to hold the end of that. And if you wanted to, you could actually cut a little piece of that stem off if it was too long for where you want to place it. But that one's pretty much a perfect match. Can't believe it. So I'm just going to pop that down. I might end up having to tie that. And then that one, this one I might just chop a little piece of this stem off so that I can just have that one going in there. See, I'm going to have him up there a little bit more. So this middle one, you're going to want to poke him right in there. So we'll glue him up. Now you're going to need a bit more glue on this one. Maybe not that much, but it's just the way it came out. So just on the really big pieces you need to have a decent amount of glue. But you don't want it coming through to your card. So then you just got to try and hold it. It's a bit tricky sometimes. So we just bring a bit of more glue down to the edges, like so, holding that big leaf at the bottom. Just push him in there, lifting that petal up. Pop him down there. Like so. And then I still want to have this other leaf for balance. Even coming up over there. It's not exactly how we had it at the beginning. Deciding where you want to have it. Yep, think about there. Yep, so we'll just glue that one up, just little spots of glue on the leaves. But I'm just finding I just really love this set with, you know, being able to make your own flowers in exactly the colour scheme you want. I always, when I've got a few minutes, I'll just run a few colours through the big shots. So I've always got a container of them so that in all different colours, so that I can just make my flowers as I need them. And I sometimes have some ready-made ones. So now I'll just turn this round. Hopefully you can still see me. Oh, I just want that one down there. So just don't want to get it, transfer the glue that's on my hands onto my card. So you can see how effective it is by doing your own background stamping, and it's not hard. Don't overthink it, just I might even just see if we can. Just falls the way it wants to fall, and I just let the linen thread sit where it wants. Now I've got it stuck to my fingers, so that's looking quite acceptable. That's better. So that's just add a bit more, and then we've just got the three that we wanted, that I was saying, more of a triangle effect. So I'm just gonna pop a bit of glue on there. You hardly need any really on these. Pop him out there. I want to sort of have it at a triangle with the three small flowers. So that one's a bit easier, we just need a little bit in the middle. But just grab this set, I can't recommend it enough, and it just have a bit of an experimentation with it. And thought I lost my last one. That leaf's come round a bit too far now, but that's all right. Yeah, I think I'll put him up there. Just adds balance to it rather than just having two sticking out there. So we're just going to put him about there. Like that. And we're nearly finished. Now, I thought I had my rhinestones in front of me, but I will just grab them very quickly. I do apologise for that. Usually very organised. And then I just need my tweezers and my fine tip glue, and I'm just going to put a little dab on the middle of each of those flowers, and you only need a very tiny dab, and we're just going to place, might need the next size up, one of Stampin' Up jewels, and these are adhesive, these jewels, but when I'm making flower sort of cards like this, I do like to add a little bit of fine tip glue underneath my pearls. And we just need one more over here. And it dries very quickly. So I hope that will give you some inspiration to try using those Thinlits. And I just really like making my own backgrounds like that, and it does add effectiveness to your card. It takes a lot of the blankness off of your card. And at the beginning of the tutorial I said I'd show you one where I've used a few flowers, so that one I can come back and do a tutorial later. That is more of a cluster of flowers, what I'd call a cluster of flowers, and I've used designer series paper and another one of the dies up there too. So we can come back in a later tutorial and show you how to do that. But there's a starting point by just using a couple of leaves and a couple of the small flowers and one large flower. And I just think that it's just so effective. So just thank you once again for spending some of your day with me. And till next time, happy crafting.